matchups. And then we thought we were going to be talking about Bray Wyatt. And then we thought we were going to be talking about Bray Wyatt and Ric Flair. And then we thought we were going to be talking about some contract issues. And now we got about a dozen more. So we're going to run those down, give our thoughts about those sets of releases and some other topics here and there. Any noteworthy stuff from the TV stuff from this week and all the usual jazz that we do. So as usual, we want to know what you have to say about these topics. So drop a comment below. Anything that goes along with these kind of things. If you just keep staying tuned and you follow all these kind of stuff, you're going to know all these plugs. You're going to know everything that's happening. But go to smartcutmama.com. Go to the TeePublic and Redbubble shops. Pick up some T-shirts if you want to help us out on that side of things. And check out fanboysanonymous.com for everything that's happening there. I'll plug that a little bit more later on, though. I hate just talking about these, but, I mean, these are the main topics, so let's just dive into it. We talked about Bray Wyatt a little bit already. They had released him after we did the hot tags before, and we made him the subject of the main event for this week when we did the Superstar Scores. Go ahead and check that back out if you haven't done that already. Some people saying that we were a little too low on him. Some people saying we were way too high on him. So I guess that balances out. I don't know.
Funny how that works.
We did talk quite a bit about Bray Wyatt then. But he is kind of the biggest one, and then I guess just a bevy of other releases. It's another big story too. But are there any lingering thoughts you guys have about Bray Wyatt that we didn't really get into on the Superstar Scores?
A travesty, a sad day when they released a man who should still be headlining their shows. I stand by that. Even if we don't like the direction of the Fiend, it should have been headlining shows. And in fact, it was. In December, he headlined TLC.
SummerSlam of last year was Braun Strowman against Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, that was SummerSlam. Payback was them and Roman Reigns. What the hell?
Yeah, it is obviously a shocking release. I think we pretty much covered most of it in the main event. But I think probably a bigger issue is the fact of where is he actually going to go? Because you would naturally say, well, he's a big star, he should be picked up by AEW, but AEW really doesn't need any more big stars, particularly on the men's side of things right now. So I kind of feel like he'll be in a bit of limbo for the time being, especially because Tony Khan's not a big fan of the spooky bullshit, because he immediately got like the buyer's remorse with Broken Matt Hardy and decided, okay, we're going to just do this for a little while, and then he's going to move on to something more grounded in reality. So if Bray Wyatt does come in, he's going to probably have to be something that's like, if it's the cult leader thing, it needs to be something that's a bit more reality based. I don't think we're going to see the thing ever again.
Some people, of course, were doing the natural thing. They were going, oh, he's going to join the Dark Order and it's going to be this whole thing. I don't think that's happening. I don't think that there's really grounds for that to happen beyond just the friendship that they had.
And I tweeted that playfully, and people jumped on it. People had strong feelings in both directions of stop saying this, and also please do this.
Right.
I mean, there's something there, but I don't think it needs to happen that way.
I can't see him going necessarily to AEW, but AEW would be. I mean, they just definitively are the number two, if not in some ways the number one as far as creativity and everything goes. But if you don't work for WWE, you probably want to go to AEW, and just because you want to go there doesn't mean that they're going to pick you up, and they can't just hire everybody.
Yeah, I think that was what WWE's problem was, that they were just hiring everybody, and now they were in situations that we find ourselves in at the moment. And it is just a case of when people talk about, because when I hear people put criticisms towards AEW, and they're not unfounded criticisms, by any stretch of imagination, it's about why aren't you devoting more time to the women's division or the tag team stuff like that? Why is that stuff being pushed into the background? It's because they're signing really big name main event singles male wrestlers, and Bray Wyatt fits into that category, and so you've got to prioritise which one you pick up now. And those people will still find places. There is still Impact, there's still Ring of Honor, there's still other promotions around that they can join.
I'm just going to say it right now. I think Bray Wyatt is one of the names that you should probably make an exception for. I am at the point where I do think that they need to pick and choose, but like there are two names that we're going to talk about today that they absolutely should pick up.
And that's obviously the discussion that we tend to have with most of these scenarios is where are they going to go? Where would they best fit? Why did they get released? What the hell's happening at Con? That kind of thing. We've done this far too many times at this point. So we know how this goes. And I guess we kind of just do the round the table sort of thing here of, gun to your head. Where do you think Bray Wyatt goes and where do you want him to go? I would say, because you can't imagine, I guess before I just completely skip right to my answer, I can't imagine somebody like an NWA being able to spend the money on him and having it be worthwhile. Because I don't think Bray Wyatt going to NWA is going to suddenly make NWA on par with AEW. And maybe he doesn't want to do anything anymore. Maybe he is fine just raising his kids and just hanging out. Maybe he wants to get into other things. Same as everybody else. They might just want to get into other things. But if I do have to pick, what do I think and what do I want? I think he doesn't wrestle for a long while and he eventually comes back to WWE. What do I want?
Bulletproof, nothing to lose.
Honestly, kind of Impact. Even though I won't be watching.
Yeah, I think that's why you want it. I'd like to see
I want the best for him. Let's put it that way.
I'd like to see him go somewhere where he'll be utilized and appreciated. And I think right now that's AEW, but we need to see if the cards are right and he fits there. Because, bro, we're still talking about Bryan and CM Punk. The names that AEW are picking up is incredible.
There are people from last year that still haven't found a place yet, like Curtis Axel.
That dude, he hasn't even really tweeted much of anything. He's sort of disappeared.
Callum, what are you thinking? Where do you want him to go? Where do you think he goes? Might be the same.
I think that he will end up going to AEW because I don't think Tony Khan can kind of help himself at this point. And if you are being presented with so much provable talent that has drawn and has sold merchandise, then you'd be stupid not to pick them up or at least reach out to them. I personally don't want him to go there because I feel like either he gets lost in the shuffle or people who are talented who helped build AEW up will get lost in the shuffle. And I don't think, again, it's just personal perspective, I don't think he's worth the hassle of doing that. I feel like he's better placed becoming the big fish in another smaller promotion instead. Not Bobby Fish, obviously, who we'll be talking about. He'll be the big fish in certain promotions as well. But I'd say, be the top main event star in an Impact or in MLW or something like that. And then probably realistically wait until WWE comes to get you back and hopefully pays you more because they realise they fucked up pretty badly. He just feels like a guy who should just be in WWE based on the characters that he's had and the style that he works.
Since you guys are way, way, way more familiar with New Japan than I am, would he fit in there, you think?
He's got the size. He's got the size and he's got the just that sort of wrestling style and ability that I feel like he would work in New Japan. I haven't seen him work long enough matches to really say that he can do 20-30 minute blockbusters in main events and stuff like that. But I can't say that they wouldn't broach the idea. I wonder what character he'd have to play. He'd have to play something that's a lot more grounded in reality than what we've seen, especially from the Fiend side of things. But I personally don't think he'd go to New Japan.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun though. Just fantasize about for a second, because he's got that size and that build of a Hanson or a Brody. He's very stocky in that way, but he's also physically fit. Like, we were talking about this on the Superstar Scores. He's not badly put together for a man of his stature. Like, I could see him fitting in each band, not with the gimmick.
So here's a couple of people that I think that we aren't going to have almost anything to say about. And that's just not to crap on them. It's just that we didn't really get a chance to see much of them. But, like, there's referee Stephen Smith. There's Zechariah Smith, who had never done anything outside of the Performance Center. So we have nothing to say about a guy that we have seen a picture of, right? I highly doubt it.
No.
We've seen one match of Giant Zangier at the Superstar Spectacle.
I mean, that's not him and Shanky were going to be a great tag team. But I'd like to point out here, because we're going to talk about one guy that I got way wrong, but I'd like to point out I got Shanky right. Okay? I got Shanky right.
For now.
So, two people that had been used for quite a bit, and they fit into this category of this thing that happened. In October, they signed a couple of people. Kurt Stallion, Brandy Lauren, got a blanket on some of the other names. August Gray was another one of those. And, within a couple of months, they go from being the only people that are on 205 Live to being fired. And now we got Ari Sterling and Asher Hale. When we took out all the people from, Aria Daivari and Tony Nese and all these other people from 205 Live, then we only had Asher Hale and Ari Sterling. And now they're gone there. Yeah.
So right now 205 Live is Grayson Waller and Ika Manjiro.
Pretty much.
What are we doing here?
Why are they hiring people just to fire them? And it's like... We've talked about this before, but if you hired them, you saw something in them. If you fired them that quick, you didn't see anything in them, and why did you hire them?
Look, again, it comes back to the relationship we discussed beforehand. It's just the people who work on talent scouting and creative do not communicate or do not work on the same level as the people that are in control of the finances of the company. Someone like Nick Khan just strictly looks at balance sheets and looks at salaries and stuff like that. He probably rarely, if ever, watches the product itself. Whereas talent scouts look at, okay, this guy or girl has potential, like we've seen on the indies, they sign them up because that's what the practice they've been used to. But up until this past year or so, it's been a case of find talent, sign talent, keep them away from competition, hoard talent. That's the WWE MO, and that MO is changing.
I just don't understand why this is happening with these people in particular, because I could understand if it was everybody, but it's not. Or if it was nobody, but it's not. Like, if they just said, okay, well, you know what, we hired a bunch of people over this past year, we don't think that we should spend that money on them, so you say, hey, look, we got to prioritize the older people that we've already had under contract. And it's just like, okay, well, we're going to pick and choose almost everybody. And the fact that these releases keep happening almost every week, practically at this point, just let them all go. Like, at what point do they just stop? Are we going to have, like, Trey Baxter and these people that they're pushing right now for the Breakout Tournament in the same regard as Desmond Troy, who they talk about one week about being something, and then they disappear, and then they just let them go? Like,
correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Sterling in the Breakout Tournament?
Asher Hill wasn't, I don't think, but Sterling might have been. I don't remember for sure.
Like, I don't understand. Like, there's some of these releases that do shock me. Because Ari Sterling was a major signing that they tried to move right up to NXT. Same thing with Leon Ruff, NXT North American Champion.
Yeah, North American Champion. They gave him a shot. They made him one of the guys that they were going to do something with. And there he goes.
there he goes. I don't like.
Well,
at this point, go ahead, Cal.
they didn't try and make something out of him. They gave him the North American Championship as a joke, and it was a joke reign. It wasn't trying to. It wasn't. It was less about let's try and make something out of Leon Ruff. It was more a case of let's do this because it might stir up some buzz. Get a title off Johnny Gargano because Johnny Gargano always loses on his first defense. That was the big joke about that thing. And so let's have him fight someone who's a jobber and have him lose because isn't that funny?
Well,
They never actually did anything. The only thing they really did with Leon Ruff was have him have a pretty decent feud. He did more to launch Isaiah Scott than they actually ever did with him, really.
But still, that's a guy who was being featured and did hold the championship, regardless of what you feel about the reign. He did hold the championship. It's gone. Like I just don't understand.
I clicked on the Atticus ad and filled out the little thing, and they called me immediately.
If we do the whole game of where do they go, where do you think they go, whatever, I have literally no idea about some of the people that I just mentioned. Desmond Troy, Ari Sterling, Asher Hale, Leon Ruff. They'll all, I'm assuming, maybe pop up on an episode of AEW Dark once in a while, and that's about it. I can't imagine that they're going to be, apologize for the ambulance, I can't imagine that they're going to be anybody who is like, well, we're going to sign them immediately and go for them as like top prospects, but maybe someplace like an MLW will pick up like a Leon Ruff, maybe like a Ring of Honor can pick up one of these people. I don't know. Do you guys have any strong ways, one or the other?
For Ruff, not so much. Maybe an Impact, maybe an MLW. It's really going to depend on where the wind blows for him, but it's more just like the names that are being released. They don't hold any weight on their own per se. Well, some of them do that we'll get to, but like it's more just like watching everything rapid fire change, and that's so concerning to me.
I think that particularly the people that we've just mentioned should try and take advantage of the greater flexibility and fluidity between like the independent circuit and some of these promotions, and just try and be anywhere and everywhere as much as possible. Go to any independent show that's available to them. If the bigger shows are the bigger prospects like MLW or Ring of Honor or Impact say, okay, we'll give you a shot or an opportunity, or come in for this set of tapings or stuff like that, and obviously do it. But try and just use this opportunity to find yourself, find your gimmicks, find something that's going to get you over, and branch out as much as possible, get as much experience as possible, because a lot of these people are pretty young, so they should try and use this opportunity to broaden their horizons. And then maybe at some point, if they get over on the indies, then a big name will come calling with a bigger contract, or AEW or WWE again will see something that they missed beforehand.
Let's talk Bobby Fish. Undisputed Era, definitely not having a reunion anytime soon.
Such a shame.
I can't say this isn't surprising.
I can't either, but it's still like, dude, this was 1/4 of your cornerstone act for the last 3 years, going on 4. It's just weird that, again, it's the rapid fire nature of these changes. It's not that, oh my god, Bobby Fish was en route to being Intercontinental Champion or something like that. It's just the rapid fire nature of the changes. Bobby Fish was a guy who has been NXT Tag Team Champion, participated in every War Games. You know, it's just shocking in that way.
Again, it's not really surprising because he was always sort of the 4th ranked person in the bunch. He was always the most injury prone. He was the oldest guy. He accomplished the least out of them in sort of like a singles capacity. It's just kind of one of those like another one bites the dust sort of things, where it's just like, and Bobby Fish too. Like, okay, there goes a guy that I thought that they might have been looking into for a potential trainer role, and they might still in the future. I mean, things change, but
They can't all become trainers.
right. That's another thing too. That just because like a Tyler Breeze and a Bobby Fish and plenty of other people can be good producers and everything doesn't mean you have enough on your staff to hire 50 trainers, especially because you're trying to fire damn near. I don't know. At this point, between 2020 and 2021, it has to have been past the point of half of the roster, right?
It's been at least
I'm gonna
43
leave here soon, so
43 people altogether since April.
Half the roster, they had over 300 talents signed to their roster before.
Yeah, he was
They
exaggerating a bit.
They probably lost about a sixth of it.
I don't know, it just feels like
it's still a chunk, but like, you know, that's the problem. They were overstocked beforehand. This is why a lot of people like look at these ones like, oh my god, it's so shocking that these people. Well, if you bring in a new management regime that looks this up, so like, why do we have like this many people? How many of these people are we actually using on a weekly basis? And then someone answers you, and you just go, fuck, well, okay, let's start working our way down because we don't need this person.
So like my issue with that becomes, how do you decide? Well, let's get rid of, Backlash main eventer Braun Strowman, and let's get rid of Bray Wyatt. Like, doesn't even make sense. Like a Zachariah Smith, sure. I disagree personally with the Tyler Russ because he was just putting the diamond mine. But it's like, even then, okay, but some of these names are too big to the overall picture that it's like, are you even consulting with your other departments before letting these people go?
no, they're just not.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't know, but also there is the argument that they're not a big deal in the big picture because first of all, there's no big picture in WWE, and secondly, it's just WWE feels like they can make pretty much anybody and put them into that sort of position. They don't need Braun Strowman because they have Omos now. They don't need Bray Wyatt because they have Alexa Bliss now playing his character. It's like they must have. There are clearly reasons for they're doing it. They're probably those two particular on massive contracts. And if you feel like they're not really adding any value, the Bray Wyatt thing is obviously ridiculous. But it's just a case that if you don't feel like they're costing more than you're getting out of them, then that's the reason why you end up getting rid of them. I imagine the Bray Wyatt thing is more due to a mixture of injuries and probably backstage discontent, maybe. But I can't say that these people don't have reasons for being released, whether it is just complete and total budget cuts and stuff like that, or just feeling like, okay, in Bobby Fish's case, it's a mixture of the fact that he probably was on a decent contract because he was a member of the Undisputed Era. He's 44 years old. He's been injured for most of the last 3 years, it feels like. And yeah, and that's probably a reason why you had that match with Roderick Strong just completely rushed. The most recent, not this week's NXT, but last week's NXT. Just like, okay, you could have probably built that up into a decent takeover match, but you decided just to throw it out on TV because you probably knew that he was getting released pretty soon.
See, I don't even think that that's the case. I think that they just did it because we've seen plenty of instances lately where it's like, I mean, look at Aleister Black. They bring Aleister Black back after months to fire him a couple days later.
Yeah, but
so I don't think that they rushed anything for that. I think that it was just a coincidence.
But I would also say that just because certain people got released when they were given new creative direction doesn't mean that other people weren't released. Released.
I think they
with
knew
the
they were
knowledge weeks
released about it.
Yeah, one doesn't necessarily mean that doesn't beget all of them being in the same boat.
Fish is somebody that we all just said right now, we kind of saw it come in at some point, especially with the amount of releases that have been happening. Bobby Fish was kind of one that, like, all right, watch out, it's probably going to happen. I think he'll probably go to Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I imagine he'll have a farewell run there. I can't imagine him wrestling too much longer.
I
in
mean,
like
it's not
in like a full-time capacity at the very least.
it's not like he doesn't have the in at Ring of Honor or even Japan if he wants to. He's going to be an interesting one because maybe he does want to do a couple big matches in an AEW or have a little run over at an Impact and fight for the X Division title. It'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do because he's one that has a choice.
So in the meantime, when we just had a little bit of a glitch on our recording, we found out there's been no Braun. Your people? Is that what you said?
That's what Sean Rossap is saying on Twitter.
I mean, if you go to smartcombo.com, you can see on the two different things that there is the full list of everybody that's been released as far as I'm aware of. And I didn't crunch the numbers yet, but I know that it is quite a bit. It's looks like for this year, according to my list, it's at 55 people that were released. And then, of course, last year you add all that together. I mean, that's a whole chunk of people. Let's talk about Kona Reeves. He has been missing in action for a long while. He had been seen basically just as an extra in Raw Underground was the last time that I remember seeing him. And he was in the jobber side of things. And I've written for about maybe 3 or 4 different articles about how maybe he should be brought up to the main roster to be the new Bo Dallas. Not happening anymore. And if I go with where do I think, where do I want, I think he's kind of an AEW dark guy, and maybe he goes to Impact.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say in particular where I think he goes, because I don't really... I assume he's got a lot of talent and creativity about him. I'm sure he can come with some good ideas. I don't know. There's nothing that really screams out to me as saying, like, yeah, he definitely should end up there. Just a case of, like, with pretty much everybody on this list, just go do the indie stuff. Do indies. Occasionally appear on AEW Dark and stuff like that, and see what happens.
So, Kona Reeves has one thing going for him that some might not, and that's he's a Samoan trainee. So, that's got to count for something, and because of that, I think he can land a decent spot in Major League Wrestling, because Court Bauer also has a decent relationship with the Samoans, and that's my full basis for that theory.
Diamond Mine loses another person in Tyler Rust. So Diamond Mine now is Roderick Strong.
And Hachiman? Is his name Hachiman?
Hachiman, I think. Hachiman.
It's Hideo Suzuki, right? Or that's his name.
Blanking on his name. Suzuki, I think is his last name. I think it's like Hideki.
Yeah,
Hideki Suzuki. Okay.
But
Hideki Suzuki.
The last time that I remember them cutting a promo, it was Malcolm Bivens talking about how he was just one of the trainers and not actually a wrestler. The same as like Roderick Strong.
Roderick Strong.
It basically seems like it. So there goes Diamond Mine. Why'd you bother trademarking it?
Well, no, Diamond Mine's fine because they got Roderick Strong. It's that, like, there goes that whole concept of a group. Because, like, at one point, Arturo Huas was pitched.
Marina Shafir was supposed to be in there.
Marina Shafir was supposed to be in there as, like, a heavy hitter on the female side of things. It's all just up in the air, man. But it sucks.
I don't have one opinion or another about Rust. I liked what I had seen of Rust, but I can't picture where he goes.
Go back to New Japan Strong.
You guys know what he was doing before? I like it.
Mercedes Martinez. Unless you guys have anything more to say about Rust.
He's a good worker. I don't think he'll find getting jobs in wrestling odd.
Mercedes Martinez, a veteran who deserved the run in WWE, was almost retaliation and retribution.
She was smart enough to get out of that. But I was a big supporter of Mercedes Martinez from the Mae Young Classic. I liked her enough that the very first time that we saw her, I was saying that they should hire her. And when that seemed like they were going to go with AEW, I was annoyed because I wanted her to go to WWE. And then what happened? She basically floundered in NXT, and it's not her fault. And then she just got injured recently, and now, poof, she's gone. So if I'm AEW, I'm bringing her in immediately.
Y'all really just gonna sit there and let these migrants eating good, living rent-free, while we out here grinding and struggling?
Well, the song's like, she's healed, obviously.
Yeah, I'm bringing her into AEW immediately. While they can't hire everybody on the men's side, I would advise they hire everybody on the women's side, because they need some big-time players, and Mercedes Martinez is one of the best out there. I can see her and Serena Deeb being great coaches for the women, as they currently don't have any female coaches. So, all these options and more for Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, I think would be a slam dunk signing for AEW for the women's side of things. She's a veteran. She is a name. She can still use the Mercedes Martinez name because that's what she was brought in with, so she can bring that equity over from NXT into AEW. I feel like, I mean, I don't know whether she'll end up ever being like a champion or anything like that, but just having that solid foundation of having a good strong veteran in the women's division certainly wouldn't hurt them.
Who do we bounce around? Jake Atlas. We haven't talked about him yet.
That's wild, dude.
I liked him. I think that he could have been at least Cruiserweight champion. I don't see any reason why they couldn't have even just brought him up to the main roster. He wasn't going to probably move the needle in some kind of crazy way, but maybe he could have after a little bit of time of finding an actual, settling into a gimmick or anything. I think it's kind of a mistake to let him go, and he's actually somebody that I do think that he could kind of have his pick of where he goes. I can see him being somebody that AEW picks up. I kind of want him to go there, but if he were to go elsewhere, I think he'll make it a good spot for wherever he is.
I think he does the indie circuit for a bit, probably lands in Impact. WWE missed an opportunity to really move the needle with and kind of start to lay the foundation of, they keep saying they want to do LGBTQ performers. Jake Atlas would have been a great ambassador for all. Actually, he was an ambassador for that while he was with the company, and he could have been a great ambassador further if they would have given him like the cruiserweight title and things of that nature. But he will be fine, and I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes.
Yeah, I feel like he never reached any real level of potential in NXT. He was obviously like a solid, strong work, good worker, but they never really showcased any element of personality and didn't build any real stories around him in general. So I think it's probably for the best that he ends up going and can flourish a bit more in the independent circuit. I don't think that AEW will be the first port of call. I think his first port of call should be PWG, because that's where he made his name in the first place, and I feel like they're welcoming him back in open arms. They'll help him rediscover if he lost any confidence from being released or anything like that, they'll help him rediscover it immediately, help him get back on the right track. And then, yeah, I'd imagine a place like Ring of Honor or Impact could actually be a good place for him, because they're more, well, Impact could help him discover a bit more character if he gets put in with a group or something like that. Ring of Honor would be a good spot because it's more obviously wrestling orientated, less character driven, so it seems like a good fit for him as well.
Let's talk about the big guy, Bronson Reed. Rob?
You were so wrong, Rob. You were so wrong.
Here's the
thing.
Look, I was
Number 10.
I was right though. Like, they were doing it. They were giving him North American. Like, he just fucking beat Johnny Gargano. I remember that night because that was the night I watched Die Another Day. That wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago.
By the way, Die Another Day, if you want to check out the review, check out A Review to a Kill on fanboysanonymous.com for all our James Bond content.
There you go.
Looks
That
like
was in June.
the Bond franchise.
That was in June. What are we doing? He was doing dark matches
That's the most confusing part of this. If they had him doing tryout matches to see if he was ready for the main roster and he gets released, I mean, we've talked before about the left hand not talking to the right hand. What is going on?
Well, it's either a signal that they did the tryout matches and they didn't like what he was doing and feel like, okay, then we'll just, if he's just going to be sat on NXT for ages, then we'll just get rid of him, because I imagine he was probably one of the better paid people in NXT. Not that that's like saying much in general, but yeah, there must be some reason why they end up going. I mean, he is again an older talent. He's only 32, so he's not actually that super old, especially considering the grand scheme of things. But maybe they just looked at him and went, I mean, I personally don't know what they're seeing that other people clearly are seeing, which is he's a big dude who's pretty mobile and like could really do well as a heel monster or as the babyface that he was portraying. I think he could have been a big fit as part of as a heavy for the Bloodline faction. And yeah, I personally don't see the reason why I do, but I'm super excited that he is gone, because Jesus Christ, you're talking about someone who can make it big in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Talk about Bronson Reed. He's the slam dunk out of all the things for New Japan.
Yeah, he can go to New Japan. He can, honestly, him and the Bear Country, are they? In AEW? That's a trios team if you want it, right? Like, there's so much that this dude can do. This dude can be Ring of Honor champion.
Maybe Impact champion.
He can be Impact champion tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned. Like, Bronson Reed, Brody King. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. They fucked up letting this one go. They were wrong. Absolutely dead wrong. I'm hopeful that he lands on his feet.
And then when he does, the camera shakes.
And then just croak him.
Yeah, I mean, he is someone who is going to be sport of choice for places to go. I don't think he's going to be a priority for AEW, just because they're a bigger fish to fry. Not a fish yet. But yeah, there are bigger names out there at the moment they have to prioritise, and so he will get lost in the shuffle pretty quickly. So be a bigger name in a small promotion, or go to New Japan, because you have the size, you have the you have the building, you have the presence that they want to get you over in that promotion. But he could be a top champion in New Japan just based on his sheer size, presence alone, and the fact that he's a good wrestler as well. That certainly helps that as well.
Have you ever skipped voting for judges on election day? Don't. Learn about how judges.
Let's talk Ric Flair. Obviously not the same situation, but Ric Flair has also parted ways with WWE.
And with Shimbo in his future endeavors. They're like, we've agreed to terminate Ric Flair or whatever.
Not to terminate Ric Flair.
He must feel like Vince would have wanted that in reality.
So T after him. I saw one thing that I thought was funny. Somebody, I don't remember who, had tweeted out, AEW should pick up Ric Flair, and not only do they have Flair, they have Andrade, and then they should coerce Charlotte into going there and do this like two-pronged attack. Flair's the type of guy that I don't think he's going to be signing with anybody, obviously, for any kind of deal other than to have some fun.
First of all, AEW should sign him at least as a licensing thing so they can get in their video game.
Absolutely.
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
Action figures, video games, t-shirts, they should sign Ric Flair.
Yeah,
They got to do the whole thing with Sting, too. Like, just have him show up and do a face-to-face with Sting. People go nuts.
I did the face-to-face thing, and I'm sure Rob is just about to point out, you've got Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard in the promotion as well.
Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard and Ric Flair haven't worked in the same promotion in over 30 years. Tony Khan can make history, and Tony Khan was at this dude's wedding. They're friends.
Yeah, I imagine he will have some kind of contract with AEW. Obviously, it probably won't be like, oh, he's appearing every week or anything along those lines, but he will sign with AEW and have some kind of deal with them.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Ric Flair starts popping up in MLW, for instance. He's got to do some stuff that's fun. That's all he's got to be doing. He's obviously not wrestling. He should, at the very least.
It does say something if report after he had a good deal with WWE. And the fact that he is so, well, if report after believed, if he is so, like, against the creative direction the company is going in, that he's willing to essentially walk out of his contract, like, which essentially just, you're a legend, you might bring him in from time to time, we'll pay you good money and stuff like that, but you don't have to worry about it too much. It's just like, no, your product sucks so much that I want to get out of here and go somewhere else, or just, like, I'm happier outside of this promotion and outside of the money you're giving me. Does say a lot.
Yeah. And look, you have Mick Foley criticizing them on a regular basis on Twitter. He's just like, how do you let go of Bray Wyatt? How do you do this? How do you do that? It's a weird day for WWE. And Flair's release, it's not one that moves the needle in terms of programming. It's one that moves the needle in terms of company perception. And as we heard from Andrew Zarian with another release that we'll talk about, these networks aren't happy seeing some of these big names get, cut. And,
Who's the other one you're talking about?
well, Bray Wyatt.
No, we already talked about him.
Here at the beginning?
Guys, it's been a long day. Yeah, with Bray Wyatt, they flat out said, we're not happy that this company's letting go top stars. Ric Flair has to be one of those names. When you wanted to do Legends Night in January, first two names you announced are Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. When you want to go to Saudi Arabia, the people you anchored that around was Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. You don't have Ric Flair anymore.
Do you guys think Shawn Michaels is next?
Which is next, and Cole is next as well. So.
Because he's the only one left standing with the Randy Orton thing. That's it.
Oh, yeah,
it's Christian, Big Show, Mark Henry, Ric Flair.
I'm kind of waiting for Drew McIntyre to get released there.
I mean, wasn't Orton yelling at Austin Theory and he got bumped down to NXT?
Well, to be fair, he's feuding with AJ Styles now. I've been kind of okay with that. If that trend continuing there.
Yeah, AJ Styles. I can see AJ going elsewhere.
But yeah, no.
just letting it rain. Hopefully it'll be done soon.
I'm pretty sure Shawn Michaels is pretty safe.
Well,
It's
it's
one
Shawn.
of them.
Well, no one's safe if you're not cool. If you're not cool John Cena or Roman Reigns, your job isn't safe singly this way.
But Shawn were to leave on his own. That's a death knell for NXT, in my opinion.
As if it can even really keep sticking around with all these releases anyway, just because at this point, we talked about it, like 100 people get released, and it's like, you do realize that one of the biggest problems that's been happening in WWE recently has been repetitive matches, and now you have a third less of the roster, and you still want to add all this, let's keep doing main event, let's keep doing 205 Live, let's keep, the 3 hours of Raw, and this, and
Yeah, but, I mean, again, the repetitiveness is definitely something that will be an issue, but NXT still has the biggest roster out of any of the 3 brands, even with all these releases. And there are still people in the Performance Center that haven't been released yet that they're seemingly going to move on to the NXT at some point. So, I don't think they're struggling for it. They're struggling for is any sort of degree of creativity as well, but that's a whole complete separate issue.
I just want to read a tweet from Sean Ross Sapp. This should go without saying, today's releases are not WWE is a billion-dollar company reporting record profits. Don't be weird.
Yeah, because some people are going, oh, is this just because they re-signed Adam Cole, and then that's why they had to fire a bunch of people? If that's the case, then that's absolutely insane. But that does bring up one of the other main topics to talk about. Pete Dunne and Adam Cole are apparently in limbo with their contracts in some fashion. Adam Cole has been working on an extension,
Yeah.
and Pete Dunne is pretty much expiring anytime soon, too. And they released Kenyon Seaman because of the fact that he wasn't paying attention to this, I guess. From reports, at least, that seems to be the case of, how did you let this go? Why did you not get on the ball with this? And now Cole and Dunne are kind of in the best spots for themselves for negotiation tactics of
Adam Cole can apparently pop up on any show he wants to.
the day of SummerSlam.
He wants to.
Pretty much,
in July.
Yeah, not the day of SummerSlam, that's TakeOver. But yeah, like he's been working through an extension, and once that's done, that's done. So he could very easily just be going to AEW. Pete Dunne could just be going anywhere. You guys think they're going to end up going? Or you think they're going to stay in some fashion?
I think I'm leaning right now towards the idea that both men stay. But I think Pete is more of a lock to stay than Adam is.
Me too.
Adam Cole is in one of the most unique positions I can ever imagine a wrestler being in. Because on one hand, if you stay, you get to continue working with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, who have openly stated that they feel that you're the best and most reliable person, that you're the Iron Man of NXT, that you can do all these things and you're so great for the brand. And on the other hand, you can say, hey, thank you guys, I did that, and go work with your best friend and your girlfriend on the #1 rated cable program on Wednesday nights, where you can potentially be slotted in as a main event player against people like Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, and rumored Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Adam Cole's in a great place.
Obviously, we don't know Cole, so we can't speak for him or say this is what we think that he would do. But I would imagine if you've got that kind of ability, you either say to WWE, look, that contract has to be huge for me to stay, or I need definitive creative promises in my contract. Like, you need to put me on the main roster and give me a championship, or something along those lines. Because if he just stays and just keeps doing the same thing, I think he's going to regret it.
Yeah, because at the end of that day, even though he's one of the standout players in NXT, he's done everything he possibly can do in NXT. And now he consistently finds himself, especially in the past year or so, just being in month-long feuds with the same people. He just consistently has the same matches. Whether it was Johnny Gargano before having won the NXT Championship, and now he's in a never-ending feud with Kyle O'Reilly. And so he's always been someone who's been prioritised and given stuff to do, and I'm sure he appreciates that. And by all reports, he's got a lot of loyalty towards Triple H and Shawn Michaels and NXT in general. I mean, he has had that level of loyalty. He could have just walked out and been the biggest name in wrestling, just pulling a Lex Luger, because no one had any idea this contract was expired.
Yeah, he literally did NXT on Tuesday, Dynamite on Wednesday.
Yeah, and so that would have just gone, that would have just shook the entire wrestling world, even with the talk about Punk and Brian Danielson coming around as well. So clearly there is still the potential of signing him, but you have to, as Tony says, you need to give him reassurances that he's going to be used in great capacity. He has to be called up. He has to be positioned properly. He has to be given a big contract because he can demand a big contract now. And basically, it's just a case of Nick Khan and Vince McMahon and anyone else who's in charge of that sort of financial position to say, do we think that Adam Cole going to AEW is going to hurt us bad enough that he's worth paying this big contract to? If they do, then they'll sign him up, and I'm sure he'll stay. He'll appear on either Raw, SmackDown, and we'll go on a good run, at least initially, before they end up fucking him, because they do have anybody realistic. But at least he'll get probably a good few months in before they realise, he's probably too small. Well, he's too small. We can't give him the world title, blah blah blah, and then he'll just become another guy on the show. But we'll lock him to a contract then, so have to see where it goes. Or they decide, on Safe, we just don't feel like we can offer that sort of thing because we're not going to make him a world champion because he's too small. And then he'll just, okay, then I can just head off to AEW, and they will use me in a world champion role because they know that I'm an awesome talker, one of the best wrestlers in the world, and they'll position me as such because they don't have the same hang-ups on height and build as WWE seemingly have. So he is worth choice. He is in the best possible position he is for wrestling to be in the middle of a time when there is real competition seemingly forming in North America, and there are promotions that are willing to pay top dollar for someone of his talents, not the top dollar obviously.
Yeah, we know how to undercut United.
And so he's in a very enviable position right now.
Adam Cole is one of my favorite wrestlers. I don't think I've ever shied away from that while speaking with you guys. If Adam Cole leaves NXT's hurt. That is a pillar of the brand. Just
especially after losing Velveteen Dream, losing Karrion Kross, losing. I mean, again, it's the whole I kind of want them to just wipe things clean a little bit, just do cut to the chase. I want them to do that, but
they'll need to have a reset. If Adam Cole goes.
I think
maybe that'll be a blessing in disguise. Maybe that'll be a blessing in disguise for NXT because it's been stale for a good couple of years at this point now.
Dunne, I think, stays. Cole,
he's got more to do. He's still hasn't been NXT champion. He hasn't really been pushed as a long-term main eventer in NXT. Realistically, he should be on the main roster years ago. Same with Tyler Bate and stuff like that. They're so hung up on people staying in NXT for years and years and years. And realistically, people want them to stay in NXT for years and years because they know they're not going to be correctly on the main roster, and that's a whole other issue. But you're just letting people fester in a small promotion in the grand scheme of things, where there should be big stars on your main show because they've got the talent, they've got the personality to do something.
I think Dunn stays. Are we all in agreement on that, most likely?
Yeah, I think Dunn stays.
I don't know about Cole, but I'm leaning more towards Cole stays, too.
I'm leaning towards it, but I'd be happier to see him go, in a way, because I want to see him used at the top of the card of a major promotion.
Yeah, I can't say that I wouldn't be. I would be happier. I probably would be happier to see him leave, but for the time being, I'll say that he sticks around just because he signed that extension. He's clearly, but they will have to offer him something. I think that whatever happens, Adam Cole's going to be somewhere outside of NXT following SummerSlam,
Which is good.
I think that's all the release stuff to talk about, which is we've already had an hour. Let's talk about some TV stuff. We've got.
Well, hold on. You want to get Bobby Eaton out of, like, you want to just, while we're talking about more negative things, you want to talk about the unfortunate passing of Bobby Eaton?
Bobby Eaton passed away, unfortunately, yeah. Same sort of scenario.